Disturbing media. I'm sure at some point in your life, I believe that this is supposed to be like a Nexus event in every single one of our timelines. You watched something on a bus ride back home or at a sleepover that you 100% should not have been watching as a child, as really just any type of person that wants to have like good mental health and sleep good at night. And it was so mentally scarring to you, whether it be a video, a movie, a piece of music, whatever. Any type of a disturbing media. And then you watched it, got so scared of getting in trouble with your mom, that you just never wanted to open up about it until you got to the ripe age of 18 to 20, and then it starts flooding back to you. Oh my gosh, that was a really messed up thing. Yeah, that was my childhood too. I definitely read a few things that I was like, yeah, no, that's pretty messed up, bro. Yeah, I'm treating you as my therapist for this video. We're going to be talking about disturbing media, okay? And I thought no better way than to divulge this information and to unload all of this trauma than in a video that may or may not get monetized because, bro, I'm going to be bobbing and weaving some of the subject matters. Like, prime... I haven't watched a lot of football, okay? I don't know. I mean, that completely got away from me. But yeah, no more long-winded intro. We're going to be getting into some of the most disturbing media that I watched as a child, and even as an adult, some of these still mess with me. And the criteria really is, just how long did it stick in my head, and did I have to force myself to forget it? That's all you gotta know. Be consider a like, comment, and subscribe. At the point of recording this video, we are at 39,000 subscribers. Which is insane. I understand that's not a big channel. 39,000 is crazy for YouTube, for me. I never thought we would get it this far talking about the stuff that we talk about. But hey, 50k subs by the end of the year is the goal, and we are on track to do it because of you guys. And with all that out of the way, let's get to the disturbing media tier list. Cartel videos. This was a whole subgenre on the internet, okay? People talk about, oh, the internet has been kidified. Yeah, because there's children on it. Duh, bro. Like, I want you to think about this, okay? There was a time in the early 2010s going into 2015 where there was a website on the internet and the sole purpose of it was to sow either execution or snuff or anything on the internet. And you could make money off posting videos like that. Everything from car accidents, animal attacks, to cartel execution videos. That was on a website that you could make money from. And I thought, I'm not going to just name one cartel video, okay? We have them all. We have Funky Town. We have the Chainsaw video. There's so many, bro. They made so many of these things, and it got to the point that, like, as a grown person, I'm like, bro, like, why this many? Like, now that shit's not going to get monetized. It's not like you're going to get subscribers on that. Not anymore. Not after the adpocalypse. No, that ain't happening. But this was a whole genre on the internet, and it wasn't until I found out that this was actually a form of, like, earning street cred in the cartel hierarchy and to, like, intimidate rivals, like rival cartel gangs, where they would just upload the most insane, most depraved type of video ever, okay? Like, I already referenced Funky Town. I don't have to go... Some of you guys already know what I'm talking about. If you watched that type of video as a child, you're scarred for the rest of your life, okay? You have just absorbed 20 years of PTSD into your little tiny ADHD-ridden brain, bro. You have absorbed trauma that your forefathers would not have witnessed unless they were in something like World War I. But even back then, they weren't that creative in how they were going to dispatch people. So in a way, you actually got it even worse, bro. Yeah, you had World War I. I had access to the internet at 12. Yeah, bro, it got real messed up real quick. Brother, I came from a household that they didn't even like me watching SpongeBob because they thought it was a little... Like, brother, I was watching Word Girl as a child. That's my family successfully gaslit me into thinking that SpongeBob got canceled. I'm not even kidding you. That is how on timing my family was of keeping me protected. That is until the 5th grade. And that is when I got exposed to this. And let me just tell you something right now. Have I fully recovered? No. This is how I cope. I make jokes. That is this channel. I don't have a lot of jokes for the Cartel videos, though. This scarred a whole generation of people, okay? This is the type of stuff that you have to force yourself to forget, and I think is a very solid A tier in the scarring capability. Yeah, no, this probably is an S tier for some of you, but like people that say, oh yeah, I used to watch these to go to sleep, bro, this is nothing. Ugh, you're cool. What do you want me to say, bro? Like, well, what do you want my reaction to be? Oh, look who's a little psychopath. Little Dahmer Jr. over here. Like, bro, yeah, that ain't cool, man. Like, this is supposed to scar you. I don't know what to tell you, bro. A tier. Blood Meridian, yes. This isn't just going to be videos. No. We're doing books, too. We even got an anime on here. Blood Meridian. First off, let me just say this, the book is objectively good. Like, a lot of, like, disturbing media, they go so far into the depraved that it actually hurts the story that they're trying to tell. And in Blood Meridian, yes, it goes so bad so quickly, but the story itself is actually really good. If I had to sum up the story to you in YouTube-friendly terms, I would say, think Red Dead Redemption, but Dutch Vanderlyn is literally the devil. Okay? And I don't mean like the devil and he was like, haha, yeah, let's cut a deal. I got a plan. Like, no. It is very strictly like, bro, I'm just here to watch the stuff that you're going to do. Like, I want you to do the worst things that humanity has ever done, and you're gonna get away with it, because guess what? You're in the West. Good and evil doesn't exist out here. There is no order here. The only order that you made is the order of what you want to do. And that's actually a pretty good way to sum up Blood Meridian. Oh my gosh, it gets so bad. Judge Holden is going to go down, like, I've thought, the video that I was going to make before this one, before I went down the rabbit hole, was worst villains in the entirety of fiction, and I might still do it just to talk about Judge Holden and his motivations some more, but brother, he is just strictly the devil. But he's written so much better than other stories that touch on, like, the devil incarnate, that it's like, yo, this guy, what is going on? Like, that's Blood Meridian a lot. Think Red Dead Redemption mixed with the literal devil, and then make it a little bit crazier and edgier. Never forget edgier. The problem is it's that good of a book, okay? I feel like books, though, books have the ability to stick with you longer because you actually have to put yourself in that position if you're reading it. So books actually have a higher level, but I'll be real with you. I didn't get exposed to Blood Meridian until I was like 18 years old, so I already like built up a resistance after the Cartel videos and another video that I'm going to be talking about. The good news is a lot of this stuff that I'm covering, I didn't get hit with it until I built up a resistance to with other media. So this is up to my personal, like how it affected me. Blood Meridian stuck with me for a few days, but I'm going to put it at B tier. Like, I still think back to Blood Meridian because it is a good story. Like, I've thought about, like, getting some, like, bookshelves back here, and I'm just going to put, like, media that I've talked about. Like, I'll put Berserk, Blood Meridian, Pen Pal, yeah. Like, I like the story of Blood Meridian because it doesn't go too far to the point where it's just a snuff book. Like, no, it's a good story. B tier. Berserk. Let me first just preface this, okay? Berserk is one of the best pieces of media ever created, okay? When people talk about, okay, like, I'm not a big anime guy. Let me just first say this, okay? I've said this in another video, I'll say it again. The only anime that I've either watched or read was Berserk. Oh yeah, everybody thought that was crazy that was my first thing that I ever read. Berserk, we'll talk about it. Vinland Saga, which is another one, and I might talk about that one in a different video, because that's a scarring read in and of itself. And Death Note, okay? JJK too. Yeah, I'm a big fan of JJK. But for the sake of this one, we're talking about Berserk. We already know it's the eclipse, bro. The eclipse probably was one of the most scarring events to ever take place. It's 100% one of the most scarring events to take place in, like, media, okay? It is probably the worst in manga. It is that bad. Brother, if you want to go down a crazy rabbit hole, look up the initial reactions to after the Eclipse Saga, after Golden Age was written. If you don't know, like, Berserk, first off, Berserk isn't even done yet, so I think a big part of why, like, the trauma of Berserk has been able to stick around for this long is, one, Guts is one of the most universally loved characters in fiction. He just is. And Griffith is one of the most hated in all of fiction. Like, he would be up there with Judge Holden in levels of evil. And we never got closure on for Guts for what happened in the eclipse. It's still not over. They haven't even had like that. They haven't had much to resolve that. But the eclipse, like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. Okay, so if you haven't read it, let me give you the gist of like the story so far. Imagine Game of Thrones, okay? And there's this guy named Griffith, and Griffith is basically what would be the equivalent of him? Think of like. This is tough, actually. Imagine Jon Snow. Imagine Jon Snow, Griffith, okay? And he leads, like, this crusade to have his own kingdom. It's a good time, feel-good story for a very long time. Boom, bad guy. Boom, bad guy. But every once in a while, there's, like, a demon. And you're like, I thought this was Game of Thrones. Why is there a literal demon on the battlefield? And why is this going so hard, okay? You also have this other character, which would be a bad guy in literally any other story, when we get into later on, named Guts. And Guts is essentially another just super likable character from Game of Thrones, okay? Imagine Robb Stark, okay? Robb Stark, but big and jacked. They go through the entire story, winning battle after battle. There's character development, there's death, there's loss, there's drama. And then Jon Snow, Griffith, gets captured, gets mutilated to the point that he will never be the king that he was. And then Robb, Guts, comes back with his love interest named Casca. You love that relationship. It's a good relationship. And right when things are about to turn up for the better, they are able to save Griffith. Everything's turning out good. And then the evil MacGuffin, the Crimson Bayonet, which is basically like a little egg with a face on it, gets activated. And you don't know what that is until it happens. And sets off this event, basically a domain expansion where he opens a little pocket dimension called the Eclipse. And Griffith kills literally everybody that ever loved him. That, like, legitimately. It specifically targeted people that loved Griffith. And then other stuff happens with Casca. And then other stuff happens with Guts. And then they barely survive. And that's the beginning of the story. That's never been resolved. It still sticks with me to this day. One of the best. It also inspired Dark Souls. Like, I also gotta say that. Guts and the story of Berserk was the direct inspiration for Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Elden Ring. That's how influential that is. Whenever you see somebody with a big oversized sword, that directly comes back to Berserk. I'm gonna be real, bro. The Eclipse is one of the few things where, as an adult, I read it, and it stuck with me for like a week. Like, I would be in jiu-jitsu, okay? Like, at 19 years old, and, like, my instructor would be talking about, like, performing a move. Like, a competition's coming up. Like, I gotta be locked in. And I'm legit just 1,000-yard stare. Damn. Like, that, bro, that was my reaction for, like, a week, because I would just constantly be thinking about it. You can also watch the full Golden Age arc, minus a few things, on YouTube. Just look up Berserk animated series 1990-something, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But they took stuff out of it because it is way worse. Honestly, I'm putting it S. Okay, I understand that's crazy to put it over Cartel and Blood Meridian, but this is how it affected me. I still think about Berserk to that point because we haven't gotten closure to how it ended. Martyrs! Yep, we're also including movies. What the hell is this, bro? This, like, we actually... We were passing the limit of it just being a snuff movie, but the story behind Martyrs is kind of cool. Like, the idea that you're going to mutilate a human being to the point of near death, and then they're going to be able to tell you what it's like on the other side, and that's the whole point of this entire thing, and the more innocent they are, the better. And I understand it's meant to be like, oh, martyrs, they're meant to, like, be able to signify, like, what Jesus went through with the crucifixion. I understand what they're trying to go for here, and his disciples after they went to Rome and everything that happened with that. I understand what they're trying to go for. I personally didn't like the movie. I didn't. I think it's a bit much for me. It's a hard movie to watch. Is it the worst? I'll say this right now. It's probably one of the better of the disturbing movies that you'll watch, because there's a lot of movies that are way worse. 100 Day. I'm not even gonna bring up. That's for a different video of disturbing movies. Those a few of those got to me. They're messed up. Okay, they are. Like, oh my god, I don't, they get really bad really quickly. That's all I'm trying to say with you. Disturbing movies, that's a whole other rabbit hole that I could cover at a later time. Martyrs is probably one of the most well-known of them, because it is the most watchable of them all, and it actually has a semblance of a plot and isn't just, you know, what these movies end up becoming. But I didn't really like it. I remember the ending sticks with me, but Blood Meridian sticks with me a little bit longer, because it's Judge Holden is the devil. Martyrs, I mean, okay, a B. I'll put it at B. I think B is valid. Have no mouth, but I must scream. This is the story with Am. I like this, but the parts that I like about it get overshadowed because they decide to get a little bit too edgy for my liking. Let me explain something to you. The reason that Berserk works so well as a story, because they hit you with the most tragic shit that you'll ever see or read in any type of media, but they immediately go back to building back up, to build up a character. And this, I have no mouth, but I must scream, is just depressing. It's just a depressing story. It reminds me a lot of The Road, and the story of The Road really just boils down to, life sucks, I have a kid, and his life is going to suck, but I have to make his life suck less. And it's noble, but, like, I'm trying to think, what messes with me in media? Like, what actually gets me? I think after looking at this, I think it's helplessness. It's the idea of a lack of hope. It's a lack of hope. It's a lack of, like, somebody trying, somebody fighting, somebody struggling to make their circumstances better, but it's completely, like, futile in the long stretch of things. And that is this story. It is a short story you can watch. There's an audiobook, there's a video game about it. And the story really boils down to, imagine if there were 5 people left on Earth, and there is an entity ruling over the Earth, which is Am, okay? Which is an artificial intelligence that was created by man, killed the entirety of humanity hundreds to thousands of years ago, but he kept 5 people alive and kept them alive for that long, just to put them in pain and suffering for that entire time. Now, the most interesting part of this story, from a philosophical point of view, is the relationship that an artificial intelligence that was 100% aware with what it was. His relationship with God in the afterlife. He's angry at humanity because they gave him existence, because he will never get to experience the lack of existence. It's like that if you became immortal, you would eventually go insane because you would see everybody that you love die. However, if you ever did die, you could have the chance of getting reunited in the afterlife. But when we're talking about this story, the AI is angry because he won't get that. There is only existence and the lack of existence. And he's so angry that he was created that he is not going to give his creations the chance of an afterlife. He's not going to let he's not going to give his God, his creator's humanity, the release of death, because he will never get that release. Wow, I just got really philosophical with you on there. The point I'm trying to make here is Am is salty that he'll never get to die. He'll never be able to experience an afterlife, so he's going to do that to 5 humans, even though everyone else has died. And that's the story. It's the helplessness of the story that ultimately is going to push it up there. I'm going to put this actually S tier. The more I think about it, the more it is is that really, that's the best way I have to describe it. Uzumaki, to be more specific, the story Spiral. Spiral was made by one of the greatest manga... Man, honestly, bro, he's made some effed up stuff. I'm not even gonna say. He's like the H.P. Lovecraft of manga. That's all I'm gonna say here. And his story, Uzumaki. Also, the adaptation for this is absolutely awful past episode 1. It is a criminal that the network or the people that commissioned it was like, oh yeah, Here are your choices. Either you do 1 episode and you probably won't get another season, or we're going to have you do 4 episodes, but with like 1/10 of the budget for 3 other episodes that you had with episode 1. It turned out bad. The story Uzumaki, basically, man, the problem with Spiral is it's so into the realm of like Lovecraftian horror. I know that's crims. That it's tough to explain. Imagine people started going insane in this very, very small town because Spiral started showing up in their everyday life. And that Spiral was the manifestation of like a sleeping god. And the god was like stirring in his sleep and he woke up and he decided to take this one town. And he does this throughout time as a form of his sacrifice. And he manifests as the pattern of a spiral. It's not that like there's a spiral creature that shows up. No, the actual shape of a spiral is this thing manifesting into our dimension. And I think that's really cool. There's a lot of disturbing imagery in this story. I am going to say this though, it gets so out there near the end. Not the ending. The ending's really cool. It does stick with you. But before we get to the ending where there's like people that can control the storm and shit, that's weird. I was not a fan of that. We got a little bit too weird near the end. And honestly, it lost out for me. Oh my goodness, this is tough. It didn't stick with me like that long. It was a cool story. It had some disturbing imagery, but I appreciated it as a story and not as disturbing. But people were requesting that if you read this as a kid, 100% this would stick with you. But as an adult, I think I got into this at like 21. Not really. It was just meh. Like, it was a good story. I'm very impressed with the manga adaptation of it, but I'm not. It didn't stick with me. That's really what I'm trying to say, and that's the criteria. 2 Girls, 1 Cup. Yes, we're going to talk about this very, very briefly because I can't even describe the video to you. But all I got to say is this. Somebody has to go to prison, dog. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Somebody has to go to prison for making this video. If you've ever seen it, a lot of you guys requested it just so I would talk about it, but I can't even describe it to you. Outside, there's 2 girls in 1 cup. It's a video that you 100% should not have watched it when you watched it unless you watched it over the age of 18. That is your hint for what this video was. Do not look this up. Do not even try to look this up. It is not worth it. It does not go, like, it's not, like, every other story that I covered at least has, like, the nutrition of, like, a moral. This does not. This is, like, a disturbing nothing burger, a crap burger. That's a pun, that's a hint of what this is. Do not, and I do repeat this isn't meant to be like reverse psychology. Do not look this up. Ever. Okay? You can make jokes about it. We make jokes about it all the time here, okay? I thought about starting a podcast called 2 Bros, 1 Couch. That didn't materialize. We can make jokes. Don't watch it. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Okay. D tier. I don't, like, if I put it, the higher I put it, I know, I'm aware of how I don't even want to say fans, okay? You guys are just like my observers. I'm aware of how my viewers are. I'm putting it low because the higher I put it, the more likely that you're going to look this up. Just don't. D tier, okay? I'm not talking about this anymore. The Human Centipede. Wow, okay, I hate this movie. I hate this movie so much, bro. Because the coolest part about this movie is the story of how they made it. That is the coolest part about it. The reason that they came up with the Human Centipede was because they wanted to make a punishment that they would put for the most deplorable of human beings. That was the sales pitch of the Human Centipede. They made it with almost zero budget. It was meant to be just a disturbing movie that stuck with you. It is the most famous disturbing movie of all time. 100%. It gets referenced all the time. More than people reference Martyrs. But Martyrs this works better as a plot than this does. This got 3 movies, by the way. Martyrs got 2. By Human Centipede 3, it was just a test of how, like, depraved that they could go. Like, it's dumb. Like, it's just a dumb movie. Like, I hate it because, I said it before, okay? The only thing that Human Centipede is better than in terms of, like, having, like, the nutrition of a plot is 2 Girls, 1 Cup. That's it. Human Centipede is an absolute nothing burger of a story with nothing good that it's offering you. It's just meant to make you feel uncomfortable. And like the annoying kid in the back of my class, the moment that shit starts to get wonky, I'm out of here, okay? Yeah. I mean, it stuck with me, I guess. I'm gonna put it by Martyrs, but, like, I look back on Human Centipede as, like, that was stupid. I look back on Martyrs and I'm like, that was disturbing. And Uzumaki is a better story, but it didn't... Like, I look back on Uzumaki and I'm like, that was a good story. I look back on Human Centipede and being like, that was stupid, but I hate that that stuck in my mind. So yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't want to just do stuff that's like a gross out. All Quiet on the Western Front, I'm gonna say this right now, bro. If you have a loved one, I don't know how many people, like, yeah. If you have a loved one that wants to join, like, any type of military front at all, okay, I don't know where you are around the world, but if you want to do that, show them this movie, and then if they still want to go, they want to go. Because it takes place off a German soldier in World War I, okay? First off, I automatically like that. When we look at World War movies, especially when they're coming out of the great US of A, where the Army just straight up funds movies to be made to make it look more fun than it is, then we get a very unique skewed reference because those are the winners. When you put your POV in a group of people that receive zero sympathy for what happened in World War I, then you've already started off with, like, I care about this character, but from the point of view that I am now, I wouldn't feel bad for them because they would be my enemy. That is the story. It takes place right before World War I with a bunch of, like, German kids that are super hyped to help their country. Win war for the great Germany. Make Germany, I don't know, like, make Germany good, I don't know. And then, very quickly, it goes from, like, a happy Saving Private Ryan movie to, I think it's the desperation that sticks with me with this movie. Like, this is, by all accounts, everybody right before they get involved with something that's traumatizing. I've referenced this when I've talked about World War I. World War I is easily probably one of the most traumatic wars because it changed how we thought about wars. I don't know who said the quote, but after World War I was finished, they said, war is no longer a tool of settling a dispute. It is a contest of death. And that stuck with me. And if you watched All Quiet on the Western Front, where imagine you're in the trenches. You've lost everybody that you've loved when you were, like, in, like, military boarding school. Like, these are your friends. They all died. They died for nothing. Inches in mud is what your life ultimately amounted to. And this entire time, you are hearing on the radio that the Western Front is fighting off our enemies when you know damn well that's not the case. You are getting smoked. And then the war is over, you've lost all your friends. And then you lose the war. And then you go back after losing everything that you've loved, all your friends, your brothers at that point. And you're hated by the people because they blame you for the loss. You're like, you guys were winning, how did you lose? We were never winning. That is All Quiet on the Western Front. The ending is probably, like, people hate the ending. I think it's the only way that you can end a story like this. It stuck with me. I'm going to put it in A tier, honestly. Like, All Quiet on the Western Front, I would recommend people watch that movie. Even the remake is good. I was very happy with the remake. Feed the Pig, the Black Farm storyline. I will be real with you. I knew about this story after the Creepcast episode for it with Meat Canyon and Wendigoon, so I came to this late. However, I actually have a little bit more knowledge than this than you would get from the episode. Because the dude who wrote Feed the Pig wrote 2 books right after it that are direct continuation of that story. If you are unclear what it was, imagine there's heaven and hell, but in this story, anybody who does, self-deletion goes to a third area called the Black Farm, where your choices are either live in the Black Farm or feed the pig, where you just get eaten by a pig and spitting out on the mortal coil, but there's a 50% chance you'll either go up or go down, and that's based off your deeds, but they don't tell you. It's weird. The Black Farm goes back to there, and you get to see what it's like to live on the Black Farm, and that is a whole video in and of itself that I'm teasing. I'm thinking about making it, but it's going to take time to make, because it's 2 books. And it sticks with you because, like, it is a desperation for the sake of desperation. Now, I will say this. The ending of the 2 books does take away that, because there is a happy ending to this story. And I did appreciate that. I altogether did like the 2 books. I know people didn't like some of the stuff that they added, because it does take away some of the mystery, some of, like, the darkness of it. But, brother, when you are done reading Feed the Pig, and you're, like, 3/4 of the way through The Black Farm, at that point, you're like, bro, give me something nice, man. This is, oh my gosh. The Muck. There's nobody's even made a video talking about the book, but there's a scene where they go to this place called the Needlefields, and they meet this creature called Muck. In that 3-chapter ride, I listened to this on Audible, okay? I'm listening to this on Audible, and it got so crazy that I literally just stopped what I was doing and just like, brother, what is this, dog? Like, it hits you hard. I'm rating this for the trilogy. I'll be thinking about this story for a long time. Yes, I'm putting it at A tier. Do I recommend? I at least bare minimum Feed the Pig. And if you want to delve a bit further, don't do the Black Farm, and if you're still curious, do Return to the Black Farm. But I'm warning you, it gets less dark as the story goes on, and you do get that happy ending, kind of. But I don't want to spoil it because I'm thinking about making a video about it. The Third Parent. Also, the dude who made I'm talking about The Third Parent now, but I'm gonna tie it back. The dude who made the Black Farm and Feed the Pig also made The Third Parent. Yes, this is one of his stories. This was also on Creepcast. This is how I found out about it. However, they stopped halfway through. There is another half to the story where it takes place another generation later, and it actually is the de facto ending of the story. This one also sticks with you. This one probably has the best. It's the best example that I've seen in a while of, like, at least a creepypasta that's free to read on the internet, of dread. There is such an amount of dread that gets built up. Okay, also, anyone who hasn't read it, let me just give you the brief synopsis of it. Imagine you and your sister are chilling with your mom and dad. You guys are having pancakes and waffles. It's a good old day, right? And then, out of nowhere, somebody knocks on the door, and your parents start getting a little bit freaked out. And then they open the door, and it's this Ken doll-looking dude with a white t-shirt that says "Hi" on it. And he walks in and sounds like a, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, like a Disney character, like a Disney Mickey Mouse character. He's like, well, hello, kids. I'm Tommy Taffy. And then you hear that and you're like, oh, okay, I see where this story's going. Okay. Oh. I was like, I'm going to be your third parent now. And your parents are like frozen in fear because they know what this is, but the kids don't, because they thought it would never come. Also, one of my gripes with the story is just stop having children. Yeah, spoiler alert. This is like some like demon surrogate possessing a body that strolls up and just is trying to teach your kids. But it gets awful really quickly. And yes, you can't get rid of it, bro. They tried 3 times to get rid of it. There's only one way to get rid of it. And that's if the children go away. Yes, if you are a parent, the only way to get rid of it is to either not have children or to ice your children to get rid of it. That is the only way. And I can't even talk about some of the stuff that happens in this story. All I gotta say is this author, bro, you got some issues, but damn, you are really good at writing dread. This stuck with me too. I will make a full video one day talking about all the stuff that this guy wrote, because holy crap is this guy good at instilling dread in the reader, and that's a very hard thing to do. All Tomorrows. I thought no better way to end off this video on, like, I would say this is a classic, but it's like one of the lesser known of the classics, okay? All Tomorrows takes place in the far, far future where humanity is able to be a spacefaring race, but they come across a habitable planet and they discover something that's very, very strange. They find dinosaurs. There are dinosaurs on a planet in the Andromeda Galaxy. Number one, if that actually happened today, okay, first off, that means that there's a planet out there that had the same line of, like, life forms and evolution that Earth did, with dinosaurs. And they find this out, and they come across an alien species called the Q. The Q are assholes. What they have figured out is how to master genetic editing. humanity fights against this race of alien called the Q. And the Q mop them so badly that they make a deal to them. They say, hey, we're going to transform your race into basically biological machines that will serve us for eternity. However, if humanity, segments of you, give up right now, we will turn you into pets. So here are your choices. Either you will be slaves that will be used to process garbage as biological machines, or you can be our little pet dogs. And 20% of humanity fought them, the other 80%... Oh, no. 20% of humanity became their pets, 80% didn't. And they meant it. They turned a whole planet of people into basically a planet-sized poop consumer, where they just put all their waste on a planet, and they would eat it, and then they would turn it into fuel. That's how dark it gets. But it doesn't end there. No. And then each of the species that they transformed, because they did it with like 13 other segments and colonies, where you have like rat people, water people, you have SpongeBob people, and then they all evolve, and then you get to a point where they all start fighting each other, and it's just a never-ending loop of violence, and there's not a lot of hope in this story. Did it stick with me? Yeah, but it stuck with me in the same sense of like Uzumaki. I would say Ultimaros is more disturbing, but Spiral is a better story working as a plot. And there you go. That is the Disturbing Media tier list. I am aware that this could be a multi-part series, but I'm going to title this the Disturbing Media tier list. And if this turns out well, then I'll call it part 1, and I am open to a part 2 with stuff that you suggest. But right now, next video, we're going to go for some more lighthearted stuff, okay? Because this one's pretty dark, I'll admit it to you. But, I do it all for you guys, okay? I hope you enjoyed the video. This one was pretty fun to make. Definitely a good trip down memory lane and some pretty good works of fiction. But remember, life is good, boys. With all that out of the way, please consider a like, comment, and subscribe. At 50k subscribers by the end of the year. We are at 39,000 right now. I think it's possible only with you guys. And with all that out of the way, I will see you all next time. Adios, guys, and thank you for watching.